Hello, hello, and welcome to another story time brought to you by ABC Read and ABC Learn, in which we are here to help you develop and nurture that love of reading in every child as well as every adult. How are you all doing out there, reading family? Oh my goodness, I hope everybody is doing just swellerific. I hope that you all are doing great wherever you are around the globe, whatever time of day it is, all right? And I hope that you all have read or you're planning to read for at least 30 minutes, y'all. That's what's up. That's what's up. And before we get started, of course, I want to share with you all again another benefit to reading aloud, which is reading aloud helps to get better with your comprehension skills. All right. It helps to improve, I should say, your comprehension skills. All right. It helps you to understand what the story is about, helps you to understand what it is that you are reading. What's interesting is that because I am a tutor for and a reading motivator for pre-kindergarten through third grade. And the parents who when I talk to them, about their child and the different issues that they are having with their child's reading, is that they'll talk about comprehension. And so I'll ask them, I say, do you read aloud, to your child? Is that something? And, sometimes, they may say yes, and so I'll tell them, I say, okay, well, make sure you increase that reading aloud to them. Also, I will ask them, are their teachers reading aloud to them as well? And I'll ask the students that I'm tutoring. I say, are your teachers reading aloud to you? Sometimes, I may get a yes, and it's not like it's a consistent thing either, and then there are times where I'll get, no, the teacher is not reading aloud. And that was just really kind of astonishing to me because I'm like, really, if, when a person is really doing that research, when it comes to helping our children thrive when it comes to reading, when we are trying to help them be accelerated readers, not just proficient, not just okay, I'm there, I can do this. We want them to be above and beyond that. A lot of times, these teachers, I don't understand how come they are not realizing that, hey, the reading aloud is that link to that child being able to want to read more and understanding what it is that they are reading. So yeah, I just wanted to share that information with you. And now we're about to get started with my read aloud for you all, family. All right. Bam, 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 bam. Here we go. Here we go. Look at this awesome, awesome cover. You see this boy right there holding, looks like a little rocket, right? And then down here, he's a man, right? Holding a water gun. The title of this story is Whoosh! Lonnie Johnson's super soaking stream of inventions. And the author, his name is Chris Barton, illustrated by Don Tate. Oh, wow. Have you all heard of Lonnie Johnson? Have you all heard of the super soaker? I'm pretty sure you all have. All right, well, guess what? We're about to find out what this man, Lonnie Johnson, has to do with the super soaker as well as this rocket right there in his hand. All right, let's get started. Whoosh! Title page, right? Yep. Every day brought a challenge for young Lonnie Johnson. The challenge of finding space for his stuff. 6 Johnson kids were squeezed into their parents' small house in Mobile, Alabama. Lonnie would have loved a workshop of his own, but there just wasn't room. There was nowhere to keep his rocket kits. Bamboo shooters, rubber band guns, erector set, go-kart engine, bolts and screws and other spare parts his dad let him bring in from the shed, and various other things he'd hauled back from the junkyard. Lonnie loved building and creating. Ideas for inventions just kept on flowing. how to make rockets from scratch. Kids at school gathered to watch Lonnie launch them, and he learned how to make rocket fuel. When it caught fire in the kitchen, Lonnie's mom didn't make him stop. She just sent him to work outside. Lonnie wanted to spend his life designing things, building things, and getting them to work. He wanted to be an engineer. However, Lonnie took an exam that said he would not make a very good one. His dream had been challenged. Lonnie was discouraged, but he knew that whoever had graded his test hadn't met Linux. Inspired by a TV show, Lonnie had built his own robot. He made it out of scrap metal and named it Linux. Compressed air cylinders and valves allowed Linux's body to turn and its arms to move. The switches came from an old, broken jukebox. Lonnie used a tape recorder to program Linux. And as a bonus, the reels looked like eyes. Lonnie wanted to enter his creation in a science fair, but he couldn't get the transmitter to work. Without it, Lonnie couldn't send commands to Linux. Science fairs came and went. Lonnie missed one and then another until he got an idea. Now, Lonnie may or may not have asked before he borrowed his little sister's walkie-talkie. But it fixed the transmission issue. His school's team took freshly finished Linux to a 1968 science fair at the University of Alabama, where only 5 years earlier, African American students hadn't even been allowed. Having to compete in a place that still wasn't very welcoming, now that was a challenge with a capital C. Against other schools from all over the state, Lonnie's team won first place. Soon, Lonnie left home to go to college at Tuskegee Institute, where he stood out as a self-confident, insightful, creative thinker. He stood out as a student who asked the right questions, precisely defined problems, and formulated solutions. And he stood out as the guy who built his own booming sound system out of a cast-off electronics. It even had lights that flashed in sync with the beat. Lonnie sometimes studied right in the middle of his own parties. The extra studying paid off. He became an engineer after graduation, and that took him beyond Alabama. Way beyond. When NASA was sending an orbiter and probe called Galileo to Jupiter, the space agency needed to ensure a constant supply of power to the orbiter's computer memory. The engineer who had to figure out how to do it was Lonnie. His challenge was to come up with a lightweight backup system able to keep essential functions going in case the main power was lost. It wasn't easy. It wasn't obvious, but Lonnie found a solution. Some at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory doubted his idea would work. Lonnie convinced them it would. He was right. As it photographed Jupiter and its moons, Galileo was supported by the power package that Lonnie designed. Much of what we know about Jupiter could have been at risk in a power failure, if not for Lonnie. Ideas for other problems to solve just kept on flowing. They flowed whether Lonnie was working with hundreds of people at NASA or up late tinkering with his own inventions in, finally, his own workshop. Lonnie knew the world's millions of refrigerators and air conditioners needed a new cooling system, one that didn't use R12, a chemical that was bad for the environment. He had an idea for using water and air pressure instead. To test his idea, he made a pump and nozzle, connected them to the bathroom faucet, turned on the faucet, turned on the pump, and then whoosh! The stream that blasted across the bathroom was so powerful, it created a curtain swirling breeze. It also gave Lonnie an idea for yet another invention. This, he thought, would make a great water gun. First, he had to find or make the parts, including a pump small enough for a child to handle. Then he had to glue the parts together in a prototype, an early version with room for improvement. Finally, Lonnie tested his strange looking squirt gun at a picnic. Does it really work? A man asked. Sure, Lonnie said. Want to see? Lonnie worked the pump, which squeezed air into a chamber. When he pulled the trigger, the air escaped, forcing water out with a whoosh. For a water battle to be a fair fight, there couldn't be just one of Lonnie's water guns. He needed help making more. So he went to toy company after toy company after toy company. And they all said, no, 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 no. The word no flowed again and again. But finally, one company said yes. It planned to make his water gun. Lonnie also had other projects, a water propelled toy airplane, two kinds of engines, and his cooling system. He found investors to provide the money for turning his ideas into products people could buy. He made a leap of faith, quit his day job, and devoted himself to full-time inventing. But soon each plan fell apart, even the one for the water gun. These things sometimes happen. But when they happen one after another to the same person, well, that's some pretty bad luck. Lonnie didn't have a job. He didn't have the money he'd been counting on. He and his family had to move out of their home and into a little apartment. He was angry and scared. But Lonnie had dealt with challenges all his life. He knew a lot about solving problems, and he still believed in his inventions, especially the water gun. Lonnie went looking for another toy company. In 1989, he found a toy maker who was interested in seeing the water gun if Lonnie ever happened to be in Philadelphia. But don't make the special trip, the guy said. Lonnie made a special trip. In his wife's suitcase, he carried a new prototype. He unpacked it, filled the tank with water, pumped the gun until the air pressure was good and high, and whoosh! Wow! Kids everywhere agree with that wow. Lonnie's water gun, called the Super Soaker, became a smash hit. In no time, there were soakers in backyards, on beaches, in parks, and on playgrounds. Each sale of a super soaker put a little money into Lonnie's pocket. All those hours, all those years that Lonnie spent in his workshop had paid off big time. Now he could afford to do just about anything he wanted. So what did Lonnie do? He got a bigger workshop, which is where you'll find him today. Because facing challenges, solving problems, and building things are what Lonnie Johnson loves to do. And his ideas just keep on flowing. The end. All right, you guys. Oh my goodness. Once again, I just love reading these awesome, inspiring stories, right? I hope you all felt that same way. Here it is, Lonnie Johnson, he had these different challenges, that he had to face, all while he was at the same time making his inventions, right? He had ideas that kept on flowing right in his head, and he just was like, I could do this, I could do that. Oh, this, when he started one project, then he realized, oh, I could do this, I can make this project out of that. I mean, that type of thinking is just awesome. And this is one of the reasons why I really, really love this book, because it is very inspiring. And also, I love the fact that here it is showing an African American man as an inventor. Because a lot of times in our children's books, we don't see African American, you know, children or as well as adults who are doing things that are, like being inventors or different things of that nature. A lot of times you'll see, especially with our black boys, they tend to put out books where they're playing basketball a lot, playing football, which those things are fine. So I don't want nobody like, oh, it's all right. That takes skill, which it does. It takes a lot of skill and strategy to play basketball and to play football. But guess what? We want to show our boys, in particular our black boys, we want to show them doing other things besides those type of athletic activities. We want to show them doing things where they are using their critical thinking skills, problem solving skills, and just showing the perseverance that Lonnie Johnson was exemplifying, what he was showing, right? He was like, look, I've dealt with challenges before, but guess what? I keep it moving. I keep it going. I don't stop. And then I love the fact that it showed him after he got that money, he said, I am going to get a bigger workshop so I can keep doing more and more inventions. All right. And remember, to become an engineer, you really have to be skilled in math as well. So there's a lot of different things that are going on in this book that I think is great, awesome. And I hope that you all either go purchase the book or do like I did, go to the library and borrow it. All right. So that's it. Please like, subscribe, and share our videos. And I hope that you all continue to please keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day, y'all. Happy reading, family.